I'm Anthony, and this is the Dynamic Review episode of Arrow, episode 7, titled State vs. Queen. Now, a lot of people I've seen like this episode, a lot of people didn't like this episode. Me personally, I thought this was one of the best episodes of the season. It wasn't as great as last week, but this one was just like, it started off with great promise. Basically in this episode, Mara Queen, who is Oliver's mom, is on trial for the events that happened in season 1, when the undertaking happened and half the glades, or even all the glades, was, this earthquake kind of destroyed everything. But this episode starts out right after the earthquake happens, or during the earthquake, and you see Count Vertigo, who appeared in season 1, who is also one of the arch-villains of Arrow in the comic book series. But you see him in prison, and the earthquake happens, and just so happens that his cell gets opened up, and he escapes. But before he leaves, he finds a key, and he gives it off to, he randomly gives it off to the doll maker. And that's how the doll maker gets out of prison, which is really cool because they tied that in. They kind of explained how the doll maker got out of prison. So, next is a year later, in current time, and you see Oliver dealing with the fact that his mom is on trial. Now, this is the one where if she's found guilty, they get the she's the death penalty or life in prison. I think it's the death penalty. And so, Oliver, Thea, and Roy are there to support her. She's getting grilled by the new district attorney and Laurel, which, that was another weird thing, because later on you find out that Diggle gets really sick. And it kind of made it, they almost put an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where they kind of push it on you, a little key point, and it was the fact that Diggle had just gotten his flu shot, and that he shouldn't be sick. And then all of a sudden, you find out that he collapses and whatnot. And then the district attorney, he also gets really sick. He's in court and he's, attacking Thea, saying, "Oh yeah, you didn't go see your mom for 6 months because you blamed her for the events in the Glade. So she wasn't this victim. She wasn't controlled by Malcolm Merlin. She was just as involved, and you blamed her just as much as the jury should." Anyway, so he collapses, and they assign Laurel to be in charge of the whole thing. So now Laurel is in charge of the not the trial, but the prosecution of Mora. And then this is kind of what gets me, because we're going to try to break this up bit by bit. So Laurel is now in charge, and Laurel is pushing to have, is now in charge of prosecuting Mora. But then Oliver still acts like, he worries about her, and that doesn't make sense to me. Because one, I don't like the Laurel character, I won't pretend I do. I would be kind of pissed if someone was trying my mom for, trying to put her in prison for the rest of her life, or even, death penalty. But for some weird reason, during her recess, he goes and says, "Are you okay?" And she's like, she at first confronts him, "I don't want to talk to you about it, I'm not going to apologize because there's nothing for me to apologize for." And he goes, No, I understand, I'm just worried about you." I wouldn't be worried about her, she's fine. But anyway, so that's one thing. And so the prosecution goes through, and you find out that Diggle collapses and the district attorney collapses, and he's supposed to be sent to the hospital. Well, they end up getting this this episode was good, but it had so many key things from The Dark Knight Rises. There was a point where Count Vertigo, he kidnaps the district attorney, and then he holds the video camera, like the Joker, like Heath Ledger's Joker did in The Dark Knight. Yeah, The Dark Knight. And he films himself and has the district attorney behind him, and he's somehow wiring this thing to air live, and he's showing people, he's like, ha ha ha, and he's laughing, he's acting like Heath Ledger's the Joker, like he's shady, he's all movie. It just didn't make sense, or it made sense, but I don't know why they would rip him off so much, especially with Count Vertigo being the complete opposite. Because I think of the Count Vertigo from, there's a DC short animated series, or not series, but DC short movie, it was Green Arrow, and I always imagine him, he comes in and he thinks he's the ruler of a country and he calls them peasants. He's more of Dr. Doom than he is the Joker. But that's, just me. So, Vertigo kidnaps the district attorney, and, Arrow goes after him. Well, then Arrow finds him, because they do some weird thing where they rewatch the video that they filmed, and then they look at the reflection in the district attorney's eye, and that way they find a landmark, and they find their way back to where Vertigo is holding him hostage. And he gets in, he goes up to save him, he shoots some arrows, and then the Vertigo says, "I heard you lost your taste to kill, You know, that's the fun part, blah, blah, blah. And then, yeah, just like the Joker. So the Joker wanted Batman to kill, and Vertigo kind of wanted him to kill too, wanted Arrow to kill. So anyway, he got the district attorney and left. He didn't put an arrow in, Vertigo. He didn't stop him right there and then when he could, but he let him go. Or they escaped. So they escape, and then, Oliver's dealing with stuff with his mom. So they're all there, and apparently there's some secret that that the district attorney had on Mora that he was going to use in the trial that would have changed everything. And Oliver's trying to be there for his sister and for his family, but at the same time, Diggle's really sick, and Vertigo's out loose. So he's dealing with his family, and Felicity, God rest her beautiful heart, she decides that she's going to go and try to find and she's going to investigate where one of these trucks were, one of the flu trucks that went by, and you can get your flu shot on one of these trucks, which sounds really shady to me, but they do it in the real world too. So she goes to investigate, and she gets caught by Vertigo. So he gets caught by Vertigo, and he puts together that Arrow is Oliver Queen, based on the fact that she has a Queen Consolidated lanyard, and I think it was a cell phone also, or something like that. So he pieces together that, hey, Arrow's probably Oliver Queen, which didn't take very long, and if a psychotic drug lord could figure it out, the police should have figured it out by now, again. But so Oliver goes to save her, and it ends up with Oliver having to decide, he can't obviously kill Vertigo because he said he wouldn't kill anymore, but he threatens to kill her, and this is what I thought was going to happen. So they're sitting next to a window, and he has his arm around her neck, and he has a blade to her. Well, it's just like how the Joker had Rachel in The Dark Knight, and I thought he was going to bust out the window behind him and then throw her over, and then Arrow's going to have to jump out after her. I swear I thought that was going to happen, but it didn't. In the end, Arrow, shot 4 arrows into Vertigo's chest. Vertigo fell off the ledge and then landed on a car. And then she's like, oh, you broke your rule. See, I would have gone with the idea that, no, sweetheart, no. The fall killed him. My arrows just pushed him a little bit. But, because that's the kind of funny things that I don't know, it's not funny, but I think they would have been clever if he had said something like that, oh, no, the fall killed him. Justify the fact that he didn't kill anybody. But, so, Vertigo's dead, and then you see Sebastian, and then it cuts to another scene where Sebastian Blood is, he's in some room, and the police officer, which you see, I think it was 3 episodes ago, who, when the mayor was killed, when they injected the mayor, and, the police officer was there, and you thought that, he's you want to think that he's, the right-hand man of Brother Blood right now. But anyway, so he comes and says, Brother Blood, there's been a development. And so Sebastian puts on that weird scarecrow-looking mask, which looks a little different now because it has, these teeth. So, it looks more like a scarecrow mask than anything else. But anyway, so he wears this, and he walks out into this room where there are people tied up like the mayor was, who had been injected with the serum, possibly. And yeah, so she walks up to one guy and says, Cyrus, how are you feeling? And he says, stronger. And he says, good. So Cyrus, the only Cyrus I know in DC Comics is Solomon Grundy. Now, this would be kind of cool if the serum had weird, metahuman effects on people, and so he became this big, gray, zombie-like person that was really strong, who just recited the Solomon Grundy poem, or rhyme. I think that'd be really cool, and yeah, there's a picture off to my side of some Solomon Grundy versus Arrow action, one from a comic book, and then one that is also from the Injustice Gods Among Us game, which was also really fun to play, by the way. Little game drop. But so that was the end of the episode, with the thoughts that, okay, so something's going to happen. Solomon Grundy, or not Solomon Grundy, but this guy Cyrus is stronger. We don't know what his power is. I'm going to guess it's super strength, and he's going to later on become an issue for Arrow. Oh, sorry, I kind of skipped something else. So the very end of the episode is the verdict's out on Mora, and the jury comes out and says that we find her not guilty on all charges. And even Oliver is kind of taken back because he isn't sure why she was acquitted. And so they give her a car to get away in. Not get away, but they give her a car and they said, hey, we'll take you home. And she's driving. Oh, dang, I keep forgetting stuff. I'm sorry, guys. The big secret that the district attorney had on Mora was the fact that she had an affair with Malcolm Merlyn, which is what Thea thought in the first season, that they were having an affair. And so it was confirmed that she had an affair with him at one point when Oliver's dad was off cheating on her, she cheated on him back with Malcolm Merlyn. And so that was the big secret. And so at the end of the episode, she's acquitted and she's free to go. And the driver stops in the middle of this parking lot and brings her out. And she's like, "Where am I? I don't know this place." And he looks up and says, "I brought her here, sir, like you asked." And then all of a sudden an arrow comes and hits him in the chest, and the guy falls down. And she turns around, and it's Malcolm freaking Merlyn. And we knew he wasn't dead. We knew that for a fact, that he disappeared and everything. And so he's alive, and he's been healing. And I want to say that he might have gone back to the Ra's al Ghul and sat in the Lazarus pit and healed, or if they had healers that healed him back. But anyway, he was like, "Yeah, I came back to make sure you were okay because I still have ties here in Starling City, and you got off free because of me. I did that for you because I was worried about you." So it shows this like scary thing, like he might actually care about her, and that kind of just like, because he did the whole undertaking for his wife in the first season. Like the whole reason was because his wife was killed, and so the whole reason he's doing this now is because he's going to take care of Mora. And then he drops the final big, the big surprise of the episode, and it was the fact that he did a test and found that Thea is his daughter. Bum bum bum. So yeah, that's the big news. So in the coming episodes, we're gonna find Thea's gonna find out that her father is Malcolm Merlyn, the dreaded Dark Archer Merlin character. So yeah, that's awesome. And this episode was great about that. And the final part we're gonna talk about will be the flashbacks in the episode. And the flashback of the island was, I know I'm kind of going fast in this episode. We're out to go out to dinner, me and my family, and I want to make sure I got this video up before we went. So in the flashback, Professor Ivo, Sarah, and his, those like pirates, those war pirates, they take Oliver Oliver leads them to the campsite where Shadow and Slade are hiding out, and they shoot it up, and then they leave a bomb to, kill them to make sure they're not there anymore, and then they're going to have Oliver lead them to the graves, where they're supposed to find something that's supposed to lead them to this submarine that has the super serum in it, or the super soldier-like serum. So you end up finding out that Shadow and Slade survived. They go off to save Oliver because they're a good team. And that's what I like about this, is like, even though Oliver and Shadow hooked up, and you think that Slade and Shadow may have hooked up, but there's still that like alliance. So the three of them are still looking out for each other. They still care about each other. And I like that. And that's what it's kind of interesting that on the island there was three of them, and now that Oliver has Felicity, Diggle, and himself. So the Arrow three, and then there was the Island three. So anyway, the Slade is now covered with this muck on one half of his face where he got burnt. So he has the Deathstroke look now, where half of it is black and the other half is, lighter. And so anyway, they save Oliver, and Oliver snatches Sarah, and they go running, and they go to the graves. They find out that they need this arrowhead, that on the arrowhead would have these coordinates for where this submarine is, and inside the submarine is a super soldier serum. And they go, it could save people, and then he looks over and says, could it save him? And he looks at Slade. So if you don't know anything about Slade or Deathstroke, he gets this super soldier serum basically that makes him stronger and faster. And this is going to ultimately lead to Slade becoming the Deathstroke that we know in the comic books, or a similar Slade. I would be interesting so now that his eye's damaged or whatnot, so he's going to have to wear an eye patch on one eye, and he's also going to, I wonder if the super soldier serum that they're going to inject him with will change his hair color, because Slade has white hair. And that'd be a little cool touch if his hair was now white or whitish. But anyway, so yeah, getting ahead of myself. Basically, this episode had a bunch of things going on. Highly recommend you guys watch this on the CW, I think there's a Watch CW site. I'll leave it down in the descriptions below. If you have not watched it yet, I'm just rambling, and I'm going to talk to you guys as if you guys watched the episode with me. I'm going to try to do better reviews on it when I'm not so excited about the episode or in a rush. But definitely watch this episode because it's one of the best of the season. It's one of the best of the series. And then you get to see the previews for next week's episode, which is The Scientist, which introduces finally Barry Allen the Flash, which will ultimately lead to his pilot episode for his own series. We don't know what that'd be called yet. It's probably going to be something funny like Boots. Boots or The Blur. God forbid that be the name. But yeah, so I was really excited with this episode. Out of 5, I would have given this one I'm between a 3.5, and a 4. It was just really, really good. Not as great as last week's episode, but just really good. So, yeah, thanks for listening. Thanks for staying while I ranted a little bit. I promise that we'll have a little better review for next week's episode. I'll try to have that one a little bit more structured than me rambling right now. So yeah, as always, thanks for watching. I'm Anthony.
Visit us on our website at www.thedynamicbuzz.com. Also, like us on Facebook. We love getting comments from you guys, and follow us on Twitter. We, enjoy retweets. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to us on our YouTube channel and check out all our awesome videos and reviews.